Hey family, hey friend. Welcome back. Let's chitty chat. I hope you are doing well. Thank you so much for watching. Like, subscribe, share, all the things. My name is Flo. If this is the first time that you are visiting my channel, I am not a teacher and I am not a preacher, baby, but I just love Jesus and I want to share him with anyone that is willing to hear it, even if they respectfully don't want to hear it. I'm willing to share it. So today we are just going to talk about for your inspiration for the upcoming week. And I believe that I touched on this subject before when I was talking about the fruits of the Spirit. I wanted to talk a little bit about self control or the lack of self control. And what does self control, how is that different from discipline, right? How did I come to wanting to talk about this topic besides really thinking and praying on it? I was thinking about the recent tragedy that happened. So, even if you do not live in the Pennsylvania area, in the Philadelphia area, I was watching this story with my parents, and baby, this made the national news about a family in East Lansdowne where it sounds like the nephew got into an argument. We don't know what happened. Nobody knows the full story, but the bottom line is two officers were shot. They got a call that the 11-year-old was shot. And I think she ended up being 13. When they came to the house, their shooting occurred, so the police got shot, so they left back, and then they don't know what happened. They heard all these shouts, these gunshots, and then the house was caught on fire. And so there's controversy around this story because the cops, they're not trained to be firefighters, so they didn't intervene. The firefighters aren't trained to be cops, so they didn't intervene, and they just let the house burn. And it's such a tragedy. And truly, we have to pray for the family members because I believe everyone that was in that house died. Flo, what does this have to do with self control? It just really got me to thinking, what happened? Where was there such a break outside of just mental health issues? What happened? How do we get to a point when we are so out of control that it's not only damaging us, it's damaging others that then can lead to full out tragedy. And that is exactly what that situation is. That is a tragic situation. And I am here to tell you, baby, listen. This is what happens when we, you and me, allow the devil to get a foothold. All he needs is to get his foot in. And then he just will continue to build and make things worse and worse and worse. And it turns into such an unnecessary tragedy. I do not know what happened, but I can tell you this for sure. It probably could have been repaired. Those lives should not have been lost. I don't care what happened. All of those people did not have to die, and the house did not have to get set on fire. So then there's other controversy around it, right? People are saying, no, the cops should have did something, or firefighters should have did something. They shouldn't have let their house burn, and I understand that. And I was actually having this conversation with my parents when I was taking them home last night. I said, I'll say this. I love my job. I love doing it. Because it's a lot of planning with community events, people think it's easy, I could do that. So everybody likes to say that they want to and will do my job, right? But I see people who try to do some stuff and they're not completely prepared and they don't know what they're doing and it falls apart. So what I will say is I am not going to talk about what the cops did, what the firefighters did. It's always easy to look on the outside and think about what somebody else should have did within their job. But my heart was just hurting for this person that lost so much control, that lost so much outside of themselves, that they had to kill people in their house and then set their home on fire. And so it seems weird. You think about such a tragedy, and I'm praying for the family members to think about that and then say, well, we need to get on and have a conversation with our family and friends about self control. It's just true because I believe that in one way, as you learn to gain self control in one area, okay, I'm eating a little healthier, okay, now I'm exercising more, okay, now I'm praying more. As you start to gain self control and you start to build self control, same thing can happen in reverse. Okay, I was planning to do better with my eating habits. I started out really well. Now I'm not eating good. Now I'm not getting up and praying. Now I'm not getting up and doing all the things. And before you know it, this is why it's sneaky and tricky. I'm telling you, the devil comes to kill, steal, and destroy. And I remember Pastor Darius Daniels used to always say this, and he probably still does say it. His goal is not always to kill. Sometimes he's just here to steal. Steal your joy, steal your peace, steal your momentum. Have you thinking that it's okay to mess up this one time and then that becomes a pattern? Sometimes it's not to kill and destroy, but just steal from you. And those slow moments of stealing, persistence, stealing, discipline, stealing, self control can add up to a full blown tragedy. How you know I got Bible for you, baby? So let's look at a couple of scriptures that just talks really about discipline. And so when I said earlier, like why does the Bible talk about discipline and self-control? Oh, I might have to sneeze. I'm sorry. My nose is itching. So it talks about discipline because discipline can just be something that God does for us to help us. It's something that parents do for their children, or it can be self discipline and self control. When we are trying to work in an area of self control, we do need God to help us to do it, but it also is an understanding and willingness that God lives in us. And there are times that our spirit man, right? We are spirit, we are physical, and we are soul, right? Our spirit man has to say no over the flesh. We are physical flesh people. We are flawed people. Temptation will come. Like, don't think that you are going to get to a level where you will never be tempted, right? You may have temptations, right? But I will say, as you learn to exercise self control time and time and time again, the temptations might not be as strong, they might not be as tempting, and then it may get to a point where you're not even wanting that specific thing in that specific area. Does that make sense? So I want to share with you Hebrews 12:11, just for you to think about when it comes to you. What area are you struggling in having self-control? And every time we think about self control, people always go to bad habits like eating or drinking or smoking or doing drugs. It could be lying, it could be not handling your finances properly, shopping too much. It could be worrying. There are so many areas. It could be being prideful and arrogant, right? Are there times when you just need to shut it, zip it, no one asked you, right? Are you constantly jumping in and needing to say something? I was having this conversation with someone else the other day, and if you are a millennial, baby, I love you. I love you if you're a millennial, okay? But one thing that I have noticed about that generation, at times, some of them, not all of them, millennials, or even on down to the Gen Zs, right? They tend to feel like they always need to have an answer. And sometimes there are people that are not Gen X's. You have older folks and other folks that are like that too. Like they always need to have an answer. You know, someone says something and they want to clap back. Or someone says something and they got the solution. Well, you need to do this, you need to do that. Or, girl, I would have did this, that, and the other. And I was saying to a good friend of mine's, you know what? Sometimes, let me tell you how you know you have reached an age of maturity when you can say, maybe sometimes you don't have to say anything. Sometimes when people are going through things, you need to just sit with them in that moment, and maybe they don't want advice. They just want a good ear to hear for someone that's not going to judge them. And even though could feel like a judgment, you just don't have some things you do not have words for. You might have words for them later. You might need to pray for somebody later. But sometimes, in some moments, baby, listen, you have lived when you know you hear something and you just like, that is something, right? And so, why did I go out on that tangent? I don't know. I don't know how I got there, but I just wanted to share this particular scripture with you. We were talking about self discipline and where are you struggling in your areas of self control, right? Because that could be a thing too. You just running your mouth and you don't need to run your mouth. You don't have to answer everyone's questions. You don't always have to have the answer, right? So, this is just something for you to think about if you're struggling in the area of self discipline, self control. God, how can I do it? Guess what? You still got time. You still got time, baby. We in February and we still have time to get it together. So this is Hebrews Hebrews 12:11. I want you to think about this. It's a short scripture. It says all discipline, all from God, self-discipline from your parents, from your boss, all discipline for the moment seems not to be joyful but sorrowful. Yet to those who have been trained by it, afterwards it yields the peaceful fruit of righteousness. Listen, I want to be in the number for sure. I already know I'm there. But I just want us to remember as Christians, we can experience the goodness of God on this side of heaven too. We don't have to wait until we get there. But sometimes we, you and me, we get in our own way. And sometimes it can be that lack of discipline, that lack of control. Think about this person that, that's such a horrific event for him too. For him that killed all those people, then set the house on fire, he died too. That is a tragedy. Like to lose that much self control, to not want to be disciplined by someone else, right? It's unnecessary. And we, you and me, we can experience fruitfulness. Yep, we can. We can experience reaching those goals we wanted to reach. It's not too late. I don't care if you're 50, 60, 70, 80. I don't care. Stop saying it's too late. Stop saying I'm at the age. Stop saying I always did it. You can do something new. Christ said we're new creatures. We are new creatures in Him. And that doesn't mean you're going to wake up tomorrow completely changed. It takes time. It takes time, right? But I just love that this scripture, again, Hebrews 12:11 says, all discipline, baby. All discipline from God, from parents, from government, from yourself. All of it for the moment seems not to be joyful. God, listen, let me tell you something about this here journey that I'm on. Trying to lose this weight, trying to eat right. I do not like doing core exercises. And it says seems for the moment not joyful. I don't I haven't had a moment of joy doing a core exercise yet, but I'm doing it. All discipline for the moment seems not to be joyful, but sorrowful. Yeah, sometimes you like, oh, I'm missing out. Oh gosh, look at that cake. Look at that this. But we have to remember this. Yet to those who have been trained by it, it meaning discipline, when you're trained by discipline, you will realize that afterwards it yields the peaceful fruit of righteousness. And that is being in right standing with God. Suddenly, hold on. That is too funny. I really am going to chat with my friend here. I'm going to tell her that she interrupted the YouTube video. But that's what we are dealing with, baby. But listen, I hope that you have an amazing week. I hope we are praying for the family of those that got lost in the fire, praying for the cops, their families, praying for the neighborhood. This was something that shook up the whole neighborhood. I have a lot of family that lives in that area. And so I hope you have an amazing week. I hope you remember that discipline, all of it might not feel good, but baby, it's worth it. It will bear fruit. And I want us to be fruitful in 2024. So remember to like, share, subscribe, all the good things. All right? Not a teacher, not a preacher. I just love Jesus. So have an amazing week and God bless you real good.